What's going on YouTube? It's your boy IDR, and we are less than 2 days away from the start of Season 9 Outlaw. And I wanted to just cover something that I've gotten a couple of questions in regard to, and that's going to be just a general overview of some of the in-game options that you have available to you when going into Torchlight Infinite. Of course, we have the Atlas system and the mapping system or the beacon system, where you can just go in, do your maps, find your loot, and have fun. But there's tons of other content within the in-game for Torchlight Infinite, and I want to just briefly go over this. I plan to do some more detailed videos on some of these aspects, so be on the lookout for those if you're interested in any specific topic. But this is just going to be like a very general, very quick rundown and explanation of what all of these different trees and activities are that you can do in Torchlight Infinite. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in game and we'll go through these, shall we? Alrighty, so here's the void chart. I'm going to use this to kind of guide us through the things we're going to be talking about today. Please note, I'm not going to be covering the Outlaw season mechanic simply because we don't have full access to it yet, and I feel that would be a little bit premature. Once I've actually got my hands on it and interacted with that system, I will be sure to drop a video detailing how that works for you all. So let's go ahead and just go through this. And we'll just do it. We'll just explain the void chart at the same time. So these up here, these don't apply to any specific league mechanic. This is just like a tree for rarity and looking for uniques. This is a very important tree looking for like stackables and commodities and whatnot. This is a tree dedicated to finding more maps or more beacons, as they're called in Torchlight Infinite. And this is a tree dedicated to like looking for gear and priceless items. But now let's move into the nitty gritty of this video and talk about some of the like quote unquote league mechanics. So hunting. Hunting is a fully in-map system. It's all about like triggering extra bonuses on bosses and triggering extra loot on bosses. Blacksail. Blacksail is a system that's going to be tied very strongly to the hero memories on your character. Whenever you have a hero memory and you need to upgrade it, you're going to be using things called like memory scraps and such. So let me see if I have a couple of those on me right now. I do. All right, so this is the stuff you're going to use for your hero memories. You're going to use like memory threads, like the memory scraps, and then like the epic threads, depending on like the tier of your hero memory. And as you can see on my hero traits, like I have all of mine level 40 right now. You just go in here, and if it's level 1, you would be upgrading through there. This is an example of what the Blacksail would look like in a map. You go in, you make a selection here, and then you'll have 2 rounds of enemies that you'll need to defeat, and you need to stay inside of this blue circle while you're doing so. Straying outside of this blue circle can end the encounter early, and you do not want that to happen. Once you've completed the encounter, you'll get this little icon up here. You go in, you make your selection on how you want to influence the loot chest for the mini encounter that you get after completing this. And once this is full, you'll get this encounter here. You simply go into this fight immediately. You go in, you fight the boss, again, one shot because super low level content for me. And then you can come over and you can get your chest and get your loot. So there we go. We got a invitation for the boss fight. We got a bunch of hero memories. We got a bunch of memory scraps and threads. Now, outside of the boss fight, Blacksail is going to be pretty much all in map. It'll be something that you'll trigger at the end of your map. And the tree is all about buffing that encounter. Once you've fully filled out your Blacksail, you'll then be presented with an option in the top right to do a fight. And then there's a separate boss fight that you can go into with invitations. Mistville. Mistville is going to be a completely exclusively outside of map situation that you can find yourself in. To get entry into that, you're going to be needing resident eyes. When you have your residence eyes, which drop off of the specific mobs in the game, in the maps, you can go in and use these, and I'll just use all of them. And as you can see, my screen got a little funky. That's because we've got stuff to go into Mistville. Also, if you want to turn this off for any reason, if you're like annoyed with it, what you can do is just go to your screen settings. I think, where is it? Not Mistville, it's this red. You can come over to Whispering Mist Season Screen Effect, turn that off, and boom, here we are. To get into Mistville, you're going to be looking for Wally right here, and hit Whispering Mist, and it'll pull up this menu. You're gonna go to Mistville, and then you're gonna have to go through. If you haven't done Mistville before, you're gonna have to go through in order. It gets progressively harder, and essentially what you're doing is you're going in, you're trying to set up a board. You're gonna do this multiple times. You're trying to go through the board and find the exit. Once you find the exit, you'll either have to do a combat encounter style gauntlet, or you'll be presented with a treasure chest. Mistville is going to be where you're going to be getting all of your activation mediums from. Those are tied to this mechanic. So if you ever see things referenced like activation medium burst or still attack or rhythm or any of that, those are tied to this mechanic right here. The Cube of Rapacity. This is going to be something that is going to be fully in map, except for the special invitation boss fight. And the way this works is you'll go through the map. When this is triggered, you will have special mobs on the map. They will begin dropping currency that you can use to roll the cube. The power system that is most closely tied to specifically cube is going to be the Divinity Slate system. This is where you're going to be getting your Divinity Slates and getting the stones that you need to roll your Divinity Slates out. Anytime you're in a map that has cube mobs, they'll be represented on the map with these little red notifications here on the mini map to indicate that those are cube of Rapacity mobs. You can also sometimes get a boss like that one. Unfortunately, I kind of one-tapped it. Apologies. And this is, oh, well, there you go. That's the Goddess of Hunting thing that you triggered earlier that I was mentioning. Anyway, once you have defeated the boss of the map, your cube of Rapacity will trigger. And then you can come in here and press covet, and it will use all of your currency that you dropped and roll through the cube. What you get will be completely random. You can claim the rewards, and then you'll also have the option to greed, which can potentially double this. And it's also possible for you to be able to greed multiple times if you've invested into the cube tree. So I'm going to go ahead and greed. Boom. We doubled up. So we got 4 FE, some stones for our slates, and all kinds of stuff. It's a very, very nice system. Also, there's an extra little thing in regard to cube that while you're going through, you'll be getting some special stones. You can take those stones over to this guy right here, go to the Blessings of the God option, and you'll be able to go through and trade for Flame Elementium, the wedges that you need to level up the slates, some Netherrealm Resin, some Flame Sand, and sometimes you'll find legendaries in here as well. God of War is all about going fast. The way this works is that when you have God of War in your map, at the beginning of the map, there will be a little fist right there icon that you can click, and you'll get a buff and a timer. As you defeat more mobs, you'll start getting faster and start doing more damage. And as you progress stages on this, it will spawn mobs in that you can defeat. And there's special things in here to like increase the duration or give you extra loot when you're going through it. But by and large, the best thing about God of War early is that it just makes you go faster. It's really one of those things that especially early in the game, it's something you really want on your maps. It's really lovely. The City of Aeterna. This is the league mechanic that is going to be tied to candles. When you're going through the maps, you're going to be especially if you've invested into the Aeterna tree, you'll find mobs that are marked with green dots on your map. So when going through maps that have Aeterna mobs, you'll see them marked on the map in green right here. When you come over and you kill them, you will sometimes find Aeterna reverberations. You can find both small versions of this and large versions of this. So this large green one would be an example of a large one. This would be a small one. The other thing that you'll be able to find is going to be pages of Aeterna, and all of these are going to be important in regard to doing your out of map activities. All right, so now that we're out of the map, when it comes to City of Aeterna, you're going to want to look for the NPC Candle, and she's going to give you a couple of different options. So the first thing that we want to look at, Psalms of Aeterna. This is going to be the tree that you'll be using that will affect your Aeterna ruins and what's going on in there. This is a very intricate thing, so I won't be covering this in great detail. Just as a side note, know that you can come over here with 20 pages and unlock this right here, which is how you get your second character unlocked for all of your characters. But outside of that, when you come over to Candle, what you're going to do is you're going to go outside of that. Once you want to interact with Aeterna a bit more, you can come over to the Aeterna map, and you can choose to use either the fleeting reverberations or the eternal reverberations. The eternal reverberations are going to be a higher level and a much higher difficulty. So you can come in here, and if you ever see anybody mention ruins rushing as a strategy, what they're talking about is just spamming this on repeat. So I'll go in and I'll show you what one looks like really quickly. What we're doing here is essentially we're building an encounter for the City of Aeterna, which is where you'll go in, you'll fight a bunch of mobs, you'll kill the boss, and you'll get like soul candles and such. But the ruins, you'll just have like one special thing that you need to do. So like for this ruins, we need to come in and we just need to sit here and do this little thing a couple of times. Each ruins will have a different activity that you need to do. Some of them will just be kill activities. Some of them you need to like stand in the circle and do specific stuff for. Alrighty, so there we go. We finished the last activity we needed to do. So Candle has spawned. We can talk to her and run a new map, or we can leave the zone. If we talk to her and we run a new map, first we'll have to take the piece that we earned by completing the ruins and place it on our board. So we'll place that down there. And you'll just build this out until it's full, and then once it's full, you'll be offered a couple of single square pieces to help fill it out, and then you can go in and try to collect your loot and kill the boss and get candles. Clockwork Ballet is going to be a in-game or in-map activity where you'll go through. You'll have clockwork gears on the map or that you can trigger. You'll have to kill a pack of mobs at each one, and then at the end, based on how you did, you'll get a rating, which will potentially increase the amount of loot that you're getting. So at the start of a map for this, you're going to go in and you're going to see Alice. She'll offer you a couple of different selections. You'll pick one of those, and then you'll be on your way. Here we have a gear. We just come in. We will destroy the mobs that come out of that gear, and we will just progress through the end of the map. And as you can see, we have a timer. We have a countdown in the top right that shows us how much time we have left. And also, we've done 3 of 6, so we know that there are going to be 3 more gears somewhere in this map that we can do. Alrighty, now I'm gonna just show you this because I've got 5 out of 6 gears. So I'm gonna go toward the end of the map because that's where that's where you can turn this in and get your loot. You don't have to complete all of them. So if you missed one and you're just lazy and don't want to go back, it's fine. You just come over here, you click the button, and then you'll have your drops come out. There's also a portal that can spawn when you're doing this that will lead to a boss fight in your maps. It used to be that if you spawn that portal, you actually lost the activity in the map for this, but with the upcoming season now, that no longer is the case. Your God of Machines is going to be a fully in-map system that you'll be interacting with. Essentially, there will be a pillar in the middle that you need to defend, and there will be multiple waves of enemies that you will need to defeat. So for God of Machines, as you're going through your maps, you'll find this little statue with an icon above it called the Statue of Machines. You interact with this to get started, and then you'll see these little flowers spawning on the ground, releasing enemies. This will be a wave defense type of system. Right now I've got 5, we've done 5 waves of mobs, and there will be a few rounds of this. We're getting progressively harder and harder as you go. What these waves of enemies are trying to do is, of course, get to the Statue of the Machines to destroy it. So we are trying to defend it. And again, each wave will get progressively stronger as you go. There you go. Of course, my loot's being hidden because of the filter and low tier maps, but the loot will drop right there on the statue after each round. Dark Surge will be a end of map activity that you will run into. So when you're in a map that has Dark Surge in it, you'll notice these purple icons for monsters on the map. You'll want to be make sure that you defeat all of those as you progress through the map. Those are going to be providing you with your Dark Surge energy, which you will be using at the end of the map to progress through that encounter. All right, so once you are ready, I typically suggest you defeat the map boss before you start doing your Dark Surge encounter, because if you defeat the map boss, there's a chance for a boss to spawn when you're doing this. So all you want to do is that you will start triggering this, and you'll get a couple of bubbles. You'll get a couple of loot bubbles. As you progress through this, you'll get extra waves, and you can potentially get extra bubbles. And then I only had enough to do 3 waves of the Dark Surge. If you invest heavily into this, it's possible to get 10 plus waves and really get a bunch of loot going. But typically, if you're not highly invested in it, you'll just get a couple of waves, and you're not always guaranteed to get a boss. As you can see, they dropped loot. But again, of course, this is a low level map, so nothing special. The Dream/Nightmare is going to be both an in-map and out-of-map system that you'll be interacting with. When you go into a map that has the Nightmare in it, you'll see this little doodad right here, right at the beginning. You're going to come over here and interact with it and make a selection. And this is going to be where you influence the loot that you'll be getting once you run the Nightmare. Once you've made your selection, you're going to interact with it again to trigger the Dream. You'll then have the chance to go through and defeat some of the Dream mobs. And while you have the Dream activated, you'll see there's a blue tint that is applied to your map. Once you have completed that particular Dream sequence, you can interact with the icon to just go ahead and choose your next bubble right here and there. Typically what I do is I just wait and I'll do it at the next time I find the marker in the map. And note, as you're going through this, the advent of Nightmare chance, mine previously said 30%, now it says 50%. The more you interact with the Dream, the more likely you are to have a Nightmare. And there we go, we have our Nightmare. So in the Nightmare, you need to interact with this to trigger the Nightmare. So advent of the Nightmare will start. And now what you're doing is on the map, you'll have these shining spots. You're just going to go through, locate where that marker is. You can destroy the mobs on the way if you'd like to. I'd probably suggest doing so if you've got the ability to do so. What you're looking for is you're looking for 4 anchors. You're going to want to destroy these anchors while dodging the abilities of the never-ending nightmare that is hunting you. There will always be 4 of these in your zone. There's sometimes they can like move around, or like there's different things that can affect what they do, but there will always be 4 of these in your zone. Of course, you see it goes immune, so it can summon a pack of blue mobs. You come in, you destroy it, you destroy the mobs, it's fine. The final anchor will always summon a little mini boss. So there's the mini boss, and there's the mini boss going down. Once you're done, you interact with the anchor one last time, and it will drop all of your loot bubbles, and you just run over those to collect them. Sometimes the never-ending nightmare will become active afterward, and you can kill him for some extra loot. But that is the nitty-gritty of how Dream and Nightmare works. The God of Might is going to be similar to the God of Machines, where it is going to be a primarily and completely in-map experience. This is going to be a little bit different from the God of Machines, where that was a bit of a tower defense type of thing. This is going to be wave-based combat, but you're just stuck in a circle, and if you leave the circle for too long, then you will be penalized and lose the encounter. So here's the God of Might. We've triggered the statue, and now we have this red circle. There will be pools of degen damage that will spawn throughout the encounter that you'll want to try to get off of and avoid. And then you'll see there are monsters spawning in the middle of the zone that we need to destroy. There is a time limit for this event, so it is possible to just not complete the event if you don't have enough damage. But we're just sitting here, we're destroying the mobs. If you tiptoe out of the zone, it's okay, but if you stay out for too long, you will lose the encounter. And then once everything is said and done, we'll have our loot on the ground to collect. So Canvas is going to be a almost exclusively out-of-map experience. It is possible to find snow paper mobs or canvas mobs in your maps. They will be noted by like a rainbow icon, and there'll be some big burly troll guys. But for the most part, the only thing that Canvas really does in maps is drop snow paper from bosses. And snow paper is going to be your entry ticket into the Canvas system itself. To enter into the Canvas, you're going to talk to the Snow Paint Owl Niv. You will choose the Frozen Canvas. And let me start this one over. You'll have your snow paper account up here, and you'll be able to pick a difficulty. To unlock higher difficulties for this, you will need to get higher levels cleared on the boss conquest. That's what this is tied behind. So if you're trying to access a difficulty and you can't, it'll tell you what level you need to reach on boss conquest to do so. Afterwards, you're just going to come in here. You'll pick a color, and then you'll go through and set up your board. I've got videos in regard to how to set up boards for this, and I'm looking to make another one. I'm just going to throw this board together willy-nilly just so I can show you what it looks like on the inside. All right, once you've gotten it completed, you hit complete, and then you go into the zone, and you can click the box up here, click the map icon to see where you are and where you need to go. And you just go through the zone, you interact with the eggs, and you collect your loot. The canvas mechanic is where you get your canvas or your special support for your skills. You'll need to have, if you get a special chest room, you can get them as low as chest level 4. But if you don't have a chest room, you need to be able to play the League Mechanic game board and get your rooms up to level 7. So as you can see, these rooms are different colors with different levels on them. So generally you need a level 7 room to be able to drop a canvas support, and higher tiers of support have higher difficulties that they are locked behind. There is no special boss fight for canvas. Canvas is just canvas. And lastly, we have the Arcana talents. This is where you will do your prophecy cards and then trigger the boss fight or the boss encounter. And lastly, we have Arcana. Arcana, when you're running Arcana, you're going to run it into prophecy cards in your maps. Once you have completed a certain number of these, you will then be able to go into the Arcana encounter. When you're going through a map, when you're looking to interact with Arcana, you'll see this tarot card icon on the map. You come over here, you interact with the card, and then you destroy the mobs, and you'll be able to get a count toward your tarot path invitation. You need a total of 30 of these to go in. Right now I only have 18, so I need to activate 12 more cards to enter. However, once you do so, you'll be able to click this and go in. You'll have to go through a little maze type deal, dodging bombs and collecting and increasing loot chests as you go. And then you'll be able to go into the fight and actually combat enemies for those loot chests. The Arcana mechanic is where you're going to be getting your Kismets and your Destinies from. Those are all tied to this specific league mechanic. Now, we don't have a constellation for Sandlord yet because, well, we're still in Sandlord season for another day and a couple hours. But for Sandlord, when you're in the maps, you'll see these little pads on the ground. You interact with that, and it will start dropping mobs. You'll defeat these mobs, and you'll be able to get workers for your Oasis. When you'll also be collecting valuables that are needed for your Oasis to function, and gold as well. And then in the Oasis, if you're familiar with Settlers League from Path of Exile, that's essentially what we've got going on here. So you come in, you set up your town, they'll mine for you, they'll cook food for you, etc., etc. You can come over to the port, and you can send off ships with loot to get loot back. You can also use gliders and send them out to these little treasure stashes. I can't say that for some reason. And they'll bring loot back for you as well. All of this will have a gold cost and a wage cost associated with it. And the big mechanic that's tied to the Oasis is going to be your belt blending. Blending is a very, very powerful tool where you can go in and you can add in affixes or even core talents from the talent tree onto your belt. And the final mechanic to talk about is going to be Path of the Brave. To enter Path of the Brave, you're going to need a Path of the Brave entry token, which is going to be one of these little coins right here. They go up in level and they go up in difficulty, and the difficulty does escalate very quickly. But you can go over here, Proof of the Brave, and you can select the level that you want to do. There are up to 5 levels, and again, this escalates in difficulty very, very, very quickly. But Path of the Brave is one of the best places for you to get access to special supports and high-level supports, and just generally a lot of just on top of the supports is just like a lot of like random loot. When you go in, you go in and it'll be a 10 round gauntlet with no breaks in between really. You go in, you fight, you start the next one as soon as it's done. You can leave and exit this as you need to, but there's a limited amount of times that you can come back in, and there's a limited amount of deaths that you can have in here before you will be kicked out. So once you do your 10 waves, it will culminate into a boss fight. After that boss fight, you can just freely exit your challenge and start a new one. The Proof of the Braves are just random drops going throughout the game. I don't really know of anything that influences the drop chance of Proof of the Brave tokens. Anytime you complete a Proof of the Brave, you will get a token for the next level. So if I complete that Proof of the Brave 1 boss, for example, I'll get a token for the Proof of the Brave 2, and escalating further and further. And that is it. That is everything wrapped up for the in-game activities that you can do. Just a quick blast through a quick explanation of each of those and how they function. Hopefully you've learned something from this video or had some questions answered for you. If you've got more detailed questions in regard to a specific encounter or a specific activity that you can do in your maps, please feel free to either drop a comment on the video and I will answer you as soon as I see it, or come join the Discord, which is linked in the description, and you can ask anything that you have a question about in regard to Torchlight, or just come shoot the shit. Up to you. Thank you for watching this far. Sub if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.